Alright, this is Atlantic Chase, and I was just playing through one of the solitaire scenarios. I've now played the first 3 solitaire scenarios in the solitaire scenarios booklet. There are, 16, it's like 70-page booklet. There are, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15. There are 15 solitaire scenarios included, and they fit into different categories based on theme. You have blockade scenarios, which I've just finished. 1 in which you play the Kriegsmarine, or 2 where you play Kriegsmarine, 1 with the Royal Navy. So you can see you're going to play solitaire both sides. You'll play different sides based on what scenario you selected. And some scenarios will use the whole map. Something you may not be aware of is that there is a small cardstock map that has a zoomed in view of the Norwegian Sea, much more detailed. What's covered by only like 3 hexes here is an entire map sheet, so basically a 2-to-1 ratio, I think. And then one of the North Sea that's got more detail, allows for more granular movements and search patterns, etc. in the North Sea. And so the one I was just playing what took place on the little inset map. I actually got my butt kicked the first time I played it. I mean, destroyed. Like, as bad as you could possibly do. When you do the solitaire scenarios, you're going to follow the booklet. It'll tell you how to set it up. It'll tell you any special rules that are going to apply to the scenario that you're playing. It gives you usually a little illustration of the setup. Then there will be a British or Kriegsmarine actions for the non-playing faction, showing what they're going to do, an explanation. Basically, it's like a flowchart, but it's more in paragraph style, which makes it very easy to read and understand. And then there is a debriefing at the end that will tell you, you work through this to figure out how many points you rack up, and then the actual outcome is then explained. So my first go through was terrible. I managed through bad decision making and bad die roll results, I managed to lose one of my precious battle cruisers. I think I lost the Gneisenau was sunk. The Scharnhorst had a hit on it. What it wasn't, damage. Damage means it's on its reverse side. Hit means it's just taking a hit. And I managed to, I think, sink the Repulse, but only damaged the hood. The net of that was pathetic. I didn't damage any of the convoys or even bring a convoy to bay, so the net result was basically an utter and complete defeat. So I reset the scenario. I realized what I had done wrong strategically, so I tried a new approach. And even though it's a small map, not a lot of pieces, there's a lot of decision making that goes into it. And I'd say it took maybe an hour to play the whole scenario. And it's really rich in narrative. When you play the game, you feel like you have a story to tell at the end of the battle, or the end of the operation, I should say. And so what I ended up doing was I sent up the Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, and the Hipper to intercept a convoy. I used our intelligence, the Bedienst intelligence, to put an intel marker on a convoy that's stretching from Bergen to was it Methil at the Firth of Forth, which is one of my favorite places to say. It's the Firth of Forth. Well, which one is it? The Firth or the Forth? I don't know. Anyways, so there's a convoy stretching there. We intercepted it, or put an intercept course. I managed to roll successfully, get 2 light cruisers as a reinforcement at Wilhelmshaven, and then sent them up on a parallel course, hoping to coordinate the both of them in the bad weather to try to intercept the convoy. As I did that, I thought better of it and decided, instead of rolling for search in the bad weather and coordinating and all of that jazz, I decided to go ahead and use signals in order to reduce the convoy down to a task force, or down to a station, which is one of these little cylinders. So now we know where it's at. The only problem is the British, they can try to get the initiative after that, but they failed their die roll, which gave me the opportunity then to bring them to battle. And the light cruisers rolled really, really well on the engage table. So the 2 light cruisers, I decided to go ahead and engage with them and keep these guys just kind of lurking in case the Royal Navy comes out. I wanted to ambush them with my strike force. So try to hit the convoy with the light cruisers. They were able to do that. First round they rolled terrible and couldn't do anything, even though we had a surprise result and got, in close to the convoy. But because of the bad weather, we only have 2 rounds of battle. Fortunately, on my last die roll, I think I rolled an 11. And then that's modified to a 13 as a result of the speed of the target, and that inflicts 2 hits on the convoy, which basically destroys the convoy. And that in this particular scenario anyways. So that provided me with enough points of in the solitaire scenario to go ahead and try to strike for home. Well, the British, they whenever you fail to seize the initiative, this tally marker moves up this track. So the British, they're going to get a +1 to the roll. So all they got to do now is roll equal to my die roll as they contest for the initiative with me. And they rolled 1 less than it, so the tie goes to me, and so I kept the initiative. Now I plotted courses with both my task forces, bring them both back to base, because I feel like I've got enough points to win. Let's not tempt fate here. Let's get everybody home and see if we can get away with this. And if the Royal Navy comes out, I still got Scharnhorst and Gneisenau ready to pounce on them. We ended up rolling successfully to get our first task force of the light cruisers out of action, return them to base. The British rolled like a 4 on 2 dice. And so even though they now have +2 to their die roll, and a 7 or better will cause them to seize the initiative from me, they failed. Now I want to bring the other convoy home, or the other task force home rather. So I go ahead and try it with them, and now a 6 or better is going to be, they're going to seize initiative and do something. And they rolled a 3. So there it is. The operation was a success, and the AI never even got a chance to activate. But I really felt like there was a lot of decision making on my part, a lot of tension in it. Even though it's a smaller scenario, I felt like it was a lot of fun. Now, let me say this about these solitaire scenarios, because I've played now BL 1, 2, and 3. I think of the one I enjoyed the most. I don't know. The bigger ones, these are much bigger. They use the full map, a lot more pieces going on. I think I enjoyed BL 1 and 2 more because they were larger, bigger decisions to make. This one here I think was particularly fun, and I think had good replay value. And that was what I was coming to. Some of the scenarios, some of the solitaire scenarios, I think are going to have more of a replay value than others. I mean, some of them, the strategy is going to be pretty obvious, and you're going to do maybe the same things, and it won't be, I don't know, it may not be one you want to go, hey, let's set that up and do it again. Whereas some of the larger ones, I think you do. So I guess what I'm saying is that's the only weak point I've found in the game so far, possibly, would be I'm not sure about how replayable the solitaire scenarios are. I've only played a couple of the 2-player scenarios. There's a lot of booklets that come up. Here's the 2-player scenarios, and I haven't done like the campaigns or any of that stuff. So there's still an awful lot to explore here, and I should say that you can play any of these solitaire, where you're basically playing God mode. You're playing both sides to the best of your abilities. There's not really hidden information in this. So all of these are totally playable if you're inclined to play both sides. So I'll say that about it. I haven't tried any of the mini scenarios. Though, again, those are the ones they're not going to take long to play. An hour, a couple hours for the operationals. I have no idea about the campaign. I haven't looked at it that closely. But it kind of gives you an idea of what you're getting here. But I know most people have been asking me about, how do you like the solitaire game? I really like it. I've enjoyed it. The only question I have is, hey, how many times will I play some of these scenarios? That's the only question I have so far. And again, there's so much game here. And some of these scenarios, you don't need a whole lot of space to set up. Now, you're going to want to have the charts and stuff, I guess, accessible to you. But this last one, basically, we're just using this for the map. And I just set it out here, use the track. Didn't really even need the battle board on the second go-around because I could kind of keep in my head where everything was and just roll it out. When I had a larger battle and there was like 6 ships involved, then yeah, we definitely needed that. So So there you go. That is Atlantic Chase, the solitaire game. Definitely worth exploring. So if you've been wondering, hey, is this a game I would enjoy? I've liked all of the games by this designer thus far. So this is definitely a quality package. And if there's one thing I really appreciate about this, is it really imposes on the player that you adopt the mindset that you imagine the historic counterparts would adopt, why they're taking the decisions they're taking, and so forth. And so I kind of felt like Admiral Raider with my Raiders. What am I going to do with them? Do I want to risk them? Because I'm looking at the outcome chart on the scenario I was playing, and I'm thinking, man, I don't want to lose these ships. They're too precious. I need to be very careful how I use them. So it really is it does a really good job of putting you in the seat, in the mindset, if you will, of the historic counterparts. And I think that that's a really cool feature here of Atlantic Chase.